Welcome to Poetry Changes Lives. Here we are again, poetry, history, thought for the day, all in this one book. It's raining a bit here in London town, which is a good thing. We need the rain, but it makes it a bit awkward to read. But anyway, I'm glad to be out here reading today. Does me good as usual. On this day, in 1924, the Czech author Franz Kafka died. Anyone who reads his work is likely to be horrified and at the same time strangely amused. I'm going to give you the opening of his famous story, The Metamorphosis, which makes you think, wow, what on earth is this story going to be about? Here we are, the opening line. As Gregor Samsa woke one morning from uneasy dreams, he found himself transformed in his bed into a gigantic insect. Well, the story goes on from there. It's really about the strength of this human spirit to cope with awful adversities and alienation, because poor old Gregor Samsa, finding himself an insect, of course, his family are alienated, the world is alienated from him, and eventually he's kind of alienated from himself, but he struggles on. Kafka is a wonderful writer, though very strange in many ways. Today I'm going to read a poem about horror of a different kind, a World War I poet, Wilfred Owen, describing trench warfare, seen sort of in a detached way by an imaginary person or soul high above, looking down on the mud and the barbed wire and all that. See what you think of this. It's not a pretty picture, but it shows one aspect of poetry, the power to describe the horror of things. The Show by Wilfred Owen. My soul looked down from a vague height with death, as unremembering how I rose or why, and saw a sad land, weak with sweats of dearth, grey cratered like the moon, with hollowed woe, and fitted with great pocks and scabs and plaques, across its beard that horror of harsh wire. There moved thin caterpillars, slowly uncoiled. It seemed they pushed themselves to be as plugs of ditches where they writhed and shriveled, killed. By them had slimy paths been trailed and scraped round myriad warps that might be little hills. I watched these agonies curl, lift and flatten, whereat in terror what that sight might mean, I reeled and shivered earthward like a feather. Well, that's kind of changed my mood in a rather downward way, and that's how poetry sometimes does it. Sometimes we need to be reminded of the horrors of things like war, and poetry can also lift us up. I'm going to go and find an uplifting poet and poem to read in a minute, because I think I need it. Poetry Changes Lives is my website, where you can read more poetry, get uplifted yourself, and buy the book if you wish to. Thank you for listening today. Today I ask for inner strength to respond positively when difficulties arise. And life is just so many challenges, one after the other, for all of us. We all need a bit of help, don't we? Inner strength. Thank you for listening today. I wish you a good day.